Hi, I'm Chris Hansen from Karate Unity. I travel, train, and teach all over the world. I cross-train with others because I believe that no style is the best, as you can always learn and improve on something. It's important to embrace similarities and learn from our differences. I also speak with amazing people to gain insight into the martial arts. Meet Erik Paulson, the architect of Combat Submission Wrestling, CSW, a gifted phenom of a coach and competitor with a career spanning over 4 decades. He's trained legends, fought champions, and innovated techniques that revolutionized the sport. Let's jump in. Thank you so much for coming on the channel. I really appreciate that. And thank you so much to Sam for getting us in touch. It's been a long time. I've been trying to get a hold of you, and I know you're so busy, and Tanya and I have been kind of coordinating. So thank you so much, Arjan. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, so I guess one of the things I'd like to know is like your connection to Sam. I'd love to know about that.
So I met Sam through the Germans.
Mm.
I think he was out in Germany.
Right.
He was in Germany, and he came in with like Ralph Beckman and those guys from Kempo-Con. And
Right.
I said, who is Sam? And they said, oh, he's a Saboteur. He's had some fights, and he was a professional Savate fighter. And that's how I originally met him. And then I saw Sam. I went out to when he was in Portugal.
Yes.
And visited him there. So Sam was in Portugal, and I think I did a workshop with him. And then there's a guy named Commando, who was one of his, Commando Seraphim.
I've heard of that last name, yes.
So that was his guy out there. He's a special forces guy. And he loves the stuff that the STX and the CSW stuff, and he likes John Greg Nelson stuff. So
Right.
But I did the seminar out there, and then Sam moved to Toronto.
Correct.
Right, and so he's full time there, right?
He was, and then now he's back he's in Spain now, so he's living there.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm sure you know this already, but he was one of the first guys to bring Savate and Muay Thai here to Toronto. I mean, there was some other guys too, but I don't think there was Savate here in Toronto, and he was one of the first guys to do that. Like he's an OG here, so he had his club here for a while, and then he went to Portugal, and then he came back, and now he's in Spain.
Well, so that's amazing because Toronto has a huge French population. So I mean, not as much as Montreal, but
yeah,
surprise Savate, there wasn't more Savate there.
Yeah,
it box full say.
That's right. And yeah, like he would always in his classes, sometimes in the middle and at the end, he'd always talk about you.
Oh,
and so like I think there was a time where he went to visit you. He took a trip up there to see you, and then he was talking about that. It was years ago, but
wow. It's been a little while since I've seen him. Last time I saw him, I was in Portugal, I think. No, Toronto. Stopped in. I was in Mississauga.
Okay, so let's jump in. I got to thank you because I discovered your stuff even before I met Sam. So I train a lot in the JKD circles here in Toronto. There's a gentleman, his name is Peter Trisikos. I don't know if you know him. Toronto JKD. He trained one of my best friends now. It was funny. I invited him to my house and never really knew much of him. And he lit me up with boxing and trapping. And, I was just a karate guy back then. And like, I got winded. My stamina was all off, the timing. And I just had to learn this stuff. So he told me, he says, you got to take a look at Erik Paulson's work, his work. And so this was in the early 2000s, following you since then. And every time I go, say, like I travel too, like my little channel generates a little bit of interest internationally. So I've been to Germany and the UK and things. And every time I go over there, I try to find some connections to my kata, some functional connections. And I look at your stuff because I find a lot of the movements that you do at close range really ties in well with karate and the kata and stuff like that. Really, to be honest, like I'm not trying to fanboy here, but I think you're one of the few that gets it. You know what I mean?
Thank
Yeah.
you. Well,
But,
I trained with Dan and Asano for about 40 years, and then I've had about 45 different coaches,
yeah.
and you know, mentored mostly by Guru Dan and Asano, but also Yuri Nakamura, Larry Hartzell, Tim Tackett, Rick Fay, and then I've had different boxing coaches, and I've had like 5 different boxing coaches. Muay Thai with Ajahn Chai, and then Muay Thai with Nathan Corbett, Muay Thai with Rob Kamen was my sparring partner, and Lucia Riker, Rico Ciparelli, Randy Couture, Dan Henderson. I got to train with those guys, Vladimir Matashenko. Those guys were all the masters. And then I trained judo with Rick Young and the Scottish judo team. But I started judo in 1974. In
I think you've trained with Gene, right?
Yeah, I trained with Gene LaBelle and Gokor. Not very much with Gokor, but I've studied and watched his and Gene's stuff for years. I used to sell Gene's book. I bought a bunch of his books from him and distributed them on seminars to try to
What was it like training with Gene?
He's just funny. He's a funny, dangerous man.
Yeah.
In Australia, they're making it compulsory for all the teachers to learn how to wrestle.
Amen.
You know why? So they can deal with insubordinate students. What the teachers are dealing with is kids wrestling. So they should all learn how to take a kid down and control them.
Yeah.
Not necessarily choke them or armbar them or anything, but just take them down and control them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, because that's what happens. I mean, even kindergarten kids are pretty aggressive. They come from, for example, inner city schools. They'll just charge you right at you, get a hold of you, they'll grab you, and like teachers are like this. You briefly touched on, the myriad of teachers that you had. I'd like to know, like, apart from Danny and Santos, like who would you list as your most influential teachers?
Yuri Nakamura.
Yeah.
Let's say Yuri. Hickson Gracie, Higgin Machado, Boyce Gracie, Orion Gracie, Larry Hartzell, Rico Ciparelli, Chad Stahelski and Damon Caro were my training partners. They helped me to understand all the arts under Guru, and Guru really, really promoted. He really wanted us to go out and search and find people that were high level in different art or sport. So for me, I found some top level boxers to go train with.
Yeah.
And for me to train with them was basically to go and spar. So at the highest level, everything was based on sparring. Ralph Allegria, karate. He was Dennis Alexio's coach. He used to have a school by my house, and I saw him at the gym. He was training Dennis Alexio, and I said, "Sir, where's your school?" And I have a school in El Segundo.
Yeah.
I don't know where in El Segundo. He goes, downtown. So I went and saw him, and he was one of the guys that fought Horian.
Right.
He was the kickboxer that fought Horian.
Yeah.
And the Gracie in action. But anyways, I went to his place and he showed me the 30-minute workout.
Nice.
And I go, what is it? And he goes, watch this. He goes, get your gloves and shin guards on. Put your mouthpiece in. And he goes, you ready? And he set the timer for 30 minutes and we sparred for 30 straight minutes.
Whoa.
And then I said, okay, well, if I'm going to go stand up with you, then you can go ground with me. So I grappled with him for 10 minutes afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, it turned into a 40-minute workout.
Wow.
And that was the best workout ever.
How did you last?
But great. I'd never done a 30-minute sparring round.
Yeah.
30 straight minutes.
I've never done that either.
Yeah, try it. It's amazing. So if you're going to do one workout in your day, it takes 40 minutes.
Yeah.
and it's
I'll try that with my guys. I'll just put on the timer and just go. But
well, you
are
just
you at like going at a light intensity or like how are you? Is it like
so
flow or
yeah, so you have to last, so you can't quit.
yeah,
So you could start out with a 20-minute workout. It's 15 straight minutes of standing sparring, 5 minutes on the ground.
nice.
Now you could switch it to the 30-minute workout, which is 20 minutes. It's 20 minutes of sparring and 10 minutes on the ground. Or you could do the 40-minute workout, which is 30 minutes of sparring and 10 minutes on
10
the
minutes.
ground.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when you're
Wow.
done, you go for a run.
Oh, oh,
Yeah, you got to go run 2 to 3 miles.
oh my goodness.
Or sometimes you're so tired you can only run for 15 minutes.
Yeah,
But how many miles can you get in that short amount of time?
yeah, yeah. Wow. I I'm in my 50s. Okay, can you still do that?
Well, I had neck surgery, so I
Yeah,
can't take hard shots to my chin because I had reconstructive neck surgery.
yeah.
Um, I can drill,
You can drill, yeah.
but I can't take hard shots.
Yeah, yeah.
I can roll, but I have to be careful with people dropping their forearm on my neck or
Yeah, yeah. Ballistic strikes. Yeah.
but I can still move around and I can demo all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
This guy today, he goes, "Are you sure you had neck surgery?" He goes, "You were moving like you didn't have neck surgery." I go, "Well, it's in your brain,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, it really is, and it's also muscle memory.
Yeah.
It's muscle memory." So, like, I did an escape today that I taught an escape that I created a long time ago. It was based out of someone mounting you,
Hmm.
and what you do when they mount you is you roll to your side. So when you roll to your side, they lift their leg up like they're going to go for an arm bar.
Yeah.
And what I do is I switch back to my back and I wrap their leg with the figure four. And then when I wrap, I bridge as hard as I can over my right shoulder and then over my left shoulder. And then I end up on top with the leg
Oh, so like you rock and then you're on top.
back up. I'm on top in their guard with the leg wrapped, ready to attack their leg.
Oh.
That's a full on setup to get a leg lock. And I came up with this defense. I came up with this escape because everything I did was based out of how to counter a good grappler doing stuff. So if I have like a good jiu-jitsu guy I'm dealing with, how do I leg lock him? How do I set him up? And that was a setup to get to the legs.
Yeah, yeah.
They're vulnerable. And same with a wrestler. If a wrestler is really good at controlling position, I got to set him up so I can bridge him and then get to his legs and attack him.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I grappled with Dan Henderson and I couldn't do anything with the guy until I finally attacked his legs. So I had to get to his guard.
Right.
How do you get to someone's guard? You either take them down or let them mount you, and then you bridge them, and then you attack the legs.
You get them in between. Yeah.
Yeah, and then if I can get into your guard, then I'm going to attack you the heel hook. It's an easy setup.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Just
Sam would tell me you're really good at the leg stuff, leg attacks.
oh,
He told me that was your specialty.
you have to be crafty.
Yeah.
And so for me, because I was fighting, every day I was kind of coming up with new ways to attack people's legs. How do I get to this guy's legs? And so I would bait people with stuff. I would stand up in their guard so I know they would back sweep me. As soon as they back sweep, I would twist really hard and then heel hook them.
Yeah, yeah.
And they go,
Wow.
"Wow, I just thought you were dumb and you stood up with poor posture." And I said, "No, I stood up with poor posture so you'd back sweep me."
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
back sweep, boom, I twist to get a leg.
Nice.
But then the Machado said, "Hey, Eric, we know you know leg locks.
Hmm.
So show us what you don't know." So then I started armbarring everybody. And Kimura or chicken wing. I used to hit the chicken wing or Kimura on people all the time
Yeah.
because they said, "Oh, you're a leg lock guy, so show us what else you know. Show us what you don't know." That's what he said.
Mm.
I said, "Well, I'm going to get really good with the arm bars." So
Yeah.
I just I taught myself. I just went down this rabbit hole studying all these different top guys on how they armbar, how they defend, how they get out, different setups, different variations. Neil Adams, Rick Young.
Yeah, Rick Young, yeah.
I went to 5 or 6 different guys. I said, how do you get out of a stacked armbar? What's your favorite? So I was always on the cutting edge of trying to learn the best of the best. That's why I created a series called the Best Defense Series. And I created it for Grappling magazine a long time ago. And it was 5 DVDs, and it was how to get out of everything. Takedowns, how to counter a takedown, how do you counter a throw, how do you counter an armbar, a leg lock, a neck crank, how do you counter a guillotine choke.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah, I've got some of your DVDs as well. I study it here. It's my pile right over there. I have a whole setup here, and this is my dojo actually. And you've answered. You started to answer one of the questions I was going to ask you. So I'm big on cross training. My whole channel is all about that, and my own personal practice and my coaching too. And I've been into this cross training thing, I'd say, since the last 20 or so years. And I really started to zone in on your whole idea of style blending. I mean, I think that many videos, when you're showcasing something, you're always blending different things. I want to ask, what's your recommendation to doing this properly, style blending? Because a lot of people, just take striking and they take it separately, and grappling separately. Karate is just in a box. A lot of people would train, like, say, Wing Chun without training grappling. My question is, like, what's the anatomy of a style blend? Like, how do you do this cross-training thing that you do so well?
Break it apart.
Yeah.
I work boxing, long-range kickboxing, then all the clinch work from Muay Thai, then all the clinch work from wrestling and dirty boxing. Then I combine that with trips and takedowns and throws from collegiate, freestyle, sambo, and judo. And then when we go to the ground, we do ground and pound. So it's positioning and hitting. And then we do submission fighting, which is just takedown to submission without hitting.
Yeah.
Sometimes we add the hitting and sometimes there's no hitting. So it's more technique based. Because realistically, I could just go boxing with wrestling and then ground and pound and beat a lot of people with just that.
Correct.
It's a brutal way to win, or I could fake a punch or punch to tie up to a clinch.
Punch the clinch.
Body lock, takedown, maybe a foot trip, and then get to a good position, like a mount, knee on belly, Keisagatami, and then finish the fight from there. Or hit a head and arm throw.
Yeah.
Then work for the pillow V arm locks or the chokes and the Katagatami, head and arm choke.
Yeah.
So that's how we combine.
Nice.
And the best way to combine is just to do to break it apart and then to put it back together. We do MMA rounds.
Nice. Yeah.
MMA rounds with only bag gloves on. So you don't have the fingered gloves. You have bag gloves, so you're punching. And it's more of a ground and pound base system with a little submission on the end.
Yeah.
The other is just the submission fighting is punching, kicking, clinching, takedown, a little bit of ground and pound, and then submission.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then we just break it apart. We do all the clinching and hitting. I teach a class. It's called the shoot boxing class. It's punching, kicking, and throwing. So
Joey actually wanted to know how you mix your Shooto with your BJJ and your grappling and all that. So I think that's a good time to talk about that.
Yeah. So one thing I do is I try to keep it just more authentic style jiu-jitsu. Then when we start rolling, I go, all right, guys, you guys are allowed to leg lock each other.
Nice.
And so at first I was like, okay, we're doing jiu-jitsu, no heel hooks. And I go, you know what? Screw it. Let's heel hook each other. You guys need to get used to getting the heel hooked.
Yep.
So all the submissions are legal. And then the other thing is when we're doing jiu-jitsu, I want to see people use the gi and gi chokes.
Right.
I want to see you just choke each other. So we break it down and we just do choking. Chokes with the gi and then chokes just without the gi.
Yeah. I have a smile on my face because after all these years, I've broken my fear and I've immersed myself now in jiu-jitsu. So I'm testing actually tomorrow morning for my yellow belt.
Wait, is that judo or jiu-jitsu?
Japanese jiu-jitsu, JJJ. Yeah. Yeah. So I love it. Like my coach, shout out to Kelvin Cheung from RIZE MMA. His expression of Japanese jiu-jitsu is a hybrid. So, you know, he blends in judo with BJJ, with striking, kickboxing, Muay Thai, and so it's a nice mix, you know. So like all these terms that you're mentioning, I'm starting to get familiar with now because some of it's on my curriculum tomorrow. Yeah, but
it's jiu-jitsu.
Sorry,
it's Japanese jiu-jitsu.
Japanese jiu-jitsu, yeah.
It's hard to find a Japanese jiu-jitsu guy these days.
Yeah. It used to be popular, I'd say about 15, 20 years ago, but now we're inundated with BJJ. So that mix you mentioned makes a lot of sense. But my next question is, so that's from a combat sport perspective. How do you distinguish, say, self-defense training, or do you insert the self-defense training into this kind of breakdown that you do?
I do. So I had the hits, I had the throat chops, I'll add the elbows, I'll add the clinch stuff with the headbutts.
Yep.
I use some of the trapping stuff from JKD. I add the knife stuff, some of the knife tapping and the flowing.
Yes.
But when I do it and I film it in a gi, people they don't get it and they go, "Oh, Erik doesn't know enough Brazilian jiu-jitsu, so now he's got to teach all this other crap." And I go, "Hey, buddy, first of all, you don't even get it. I have more than enough Brazilian jiu-jitsu I could teach the rest of my life, but these guys don't have any kali. They've never learned how to defend against a knife. So we implement a little bit of knife stuff in there.
That's great.
Also against a stick, how to defend against a stick or a club or a machete. A machete's a big one.
Yeah.
And then the gun stuff I don't really do because a lot of the gun disarm stuff, it's for movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a gun involved. If there's a gun involved, it's usually shot.
Yeah.
If there's a gun that comes out, it's usually shot. So you want to do all these crazy disarms. You know what? Teach the knife disarms, because if you teach the knife disarm, it's basically teaching you how to defend against the gun also. But, you know, if you're teaching someone how to defend against a stick, that stick should relate to the machete. So you're not going to do a rising block.
No.
Unless it's coming through your head and this will save your life. But, you know, you might deflect it or come inside like that and try to get to the hand and then try to strip it. Or you might wrap it under your armpit and then start elbowing and headbutting and stripping.
Yeah.
But we pressure test too. And then another thing.
That was my next question. Yeah.
So one thing I do is I make my kickboxers knife spar and soft stick spar.
Oh.
You know why?
Knife spar and soft stick spar.
Well,
I think the energy is similar, right?
Yeah, fencing.
Yeah.
Same thing. You got a jab with a knife, boom, it's a flick, right? Or you got a slash, which is like a hook.
Right.
Uppercuts. Same with the stick. Stick sparring, you got the backhand with tick. You have all the different with ticks.
Yeah. Yeah, those flicks. Yeah. Yeah. That's cool, man. Yeah, see, like I'm telling you, I really don't know anybody who's architect a curriculum like this. Like I did speak to Burton Richardson. I spoke to him recently. He was on my channel. He said to say hi to you, by the way.
Everything the best. He's the best.
Burton's awesome.
Burt was one of my first teachers at the Inosanto Academy.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
He also came to, I did a seminar with Sifu Larry.
Yes.
and he came out with Larry and helped teach.
I have a friend, my coach actually. Shout out to Kelvin Chung from RIZE MMA. He, I was excited to talk to you, so I reached out to all my coach friends, and they gave me some questions. So, this question's from Kelvin. What's your opinion on cross training in multiple things at once versus mixing them together in a class or a session?
You mean take them apart?
Yeah. So, like, I think what he's trying to ask is cross training yourself, like training different disciplines, and then, or telling your students to go and do that versus, say, you've done the training and you insert it into your classes to your students.
So we teach STX kickboxing at our school. It's Sabat Thai cross training.
Right.
Some days it's predominantly super heavy on the hands. Some days it's on Thai pads and Thai kicks and just straight all the checking and the knees and then a little bit of the elbows, but a lot of the kicking. And then it's Sabat, it's evasion, it's working the different kicks from Sabat and the follow-ups, the flotte, chassé, outside lateral reverse. And so that's our kickboxing. So I teach a kickboxing class where we add the front guillotine. So when you tie up, you can immediately front choke your partner or front neck crank them or side choke him, standing. You can also throw them from a tie-up position, or you can shoot low to high, but you got to take them down from standing. That's part of our shoot boxing.
Right.
So then in the shoot boxing class, I put them on their knees and I make them box from their knees. And then I make them kickbox from their knees. And then I put one guy standing versus one guy on his knees. And we fight standing versus ground, boxing. Because that's what it's going to be like to fight a taller opponent.
Yeah.
And then we do kickboxing, small guy versus tall guy from the knees. We do kickboxing. You could kickbox from your knees. So I could lean back on my left hand and I could kick you in the leg, or I could spin back kick you, or I could front kick you from my knees. And the guy standing can kick you in the head and punch you in the head.
Okay. So one person's on their knees, one person's standing.
Yes.
Okay. And the person on the ground, are they allowed to post and get up, or they have to stay there?
Get up. You have to stay down.
Okay. So they can't, I guess they can't kick or anything, right? Or they can kick from there.
You can post and you can come up off your knee and you can round kick them in the head.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. And the guy standing can also kick you in the head. But I said, you know what? Let's take the knee out just in case.
That's cool. I like that. So
if you have a good controlled guy, he can add a knee. So you're fighting like this and all of a sudden he knees. So you get in the habit of covering for the knee and then hitting, with the uppercuts, the hooks and the uppercuts, overhands.
That's practical. I love that. So,
you in the head.
Yeah.
You're defending your head. He can front kick your face so you slip or you catch and lift. And then I say, okay, standing versus ground, and now we are allowed to take each other down.
Okay.
So the guy standing could try to take the guy down on the ground with like a Osotogari or Kosotogari.
Yeah.
The guy on the ground can block all the kicks and shoot singles and doubles.
Very nice.
I wouldn't teach that to beginners, though.
No. That's too complicated. Yeah.
Intermediate to advanced class.
Yeah. I got a question.
That's the pro level, though. That's not pro.
No.
It's just an intermediate to advanced class.
I see. But I'm fixated on this one thing. So on that drill where you're on the knees and someone's standing, I guess you're trying to teach them, the person on the ground, you're trying to teach them how to fight from a compromised position, I guess, right?
No, I'm trying to teach you how to fight a taller opponent.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Fighting because I got a fight in a bar and the guy was like 6'8". And they go, what are you going to do? And I go, I'm going to overhand hook him and I'm going to single leg tackle him.
Right.
So the guy puts his hands up and he starts trying to jab down at me. And then I faked like I was going to shoot, and he ripped an uppercut. And I go, okay, this guy knows how to box a little bit. So I dropped and I ripped a right overhand, boom, left hook, crack. And then I shot a single leg, and then I took him down with a single leg.
I
And then I
see.
jumped on him, and then Donkey Kong, hammer fists.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because the guy was so rude. He was a big, obnoxious, tall, big, like hockey player bully guy. And he was picking on smaller people, and I just, I was like, you need to be put in your place. You need to have some respect and treat everyone equal just because you're a big guy.
Yeah,
And then he's like, oh, what are you going to do about it?
yeah.
Shoved me and then puts his hands up. And I was like, all right, well, I've already been here 100 times because we do these drills. I go, so I already know how to fight a 6'8" opponent
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm on my knees fighting a guy that's, what, 7 feet tall.
But I'm just trying to understand if you're on your knees, I understand how that's going to help you with, keeping things tight and dealing with that range up. But how does that help you? And I mean this just because I'm trying to understand it. How does that help you with kicking and using your knees when your knees are
You're not.
compromised?
You're not. The guy standing is kicking. But if I'm on my knees, I post my hand,
I see.
cover my face, and I lean and round kick your leg.
Oh, I see. So you are posting to, I see. Okay.
Yeah. I can
Okay.
even post back and double kick you, or I turn around and I post on my hands and donkey kick you backwards.
I see. I see.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
like alt sabat.
Yeah. 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 But the main benefit of that is to work your hands against somebody taller, right?
Yeah, I'm going to hit you with an overhand, a left hook, a right overhand, boom, a left hook, back, and a right uppercut, boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this guy's working his jab and his uppercut, boom, or is you working his cross and his uppercut
I
because you're
see.
coming in both.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And
That's
then
that's innovative. That's innovative.
kickboxing, from the knees. And then when I blow the whistle, that's when they could grapple. So you could shoot in and take them down and then punch. Only ground and pound, no submissions.
I see. I see. Yeah, I think that answers Kelvin's question. I know his reaction. He's gonna say, "Okay, when are we gonna start this?"
Then we blow the whistle, you throw your gloves off, and it's
Yeah.
all grappling.
Yeah.
But then we also do grappling with slaps.
Okay. Yeah.
So we touch each other in the face
Right.
because a lot of guys do jujitsu and they're not used to getting touched in the face. I
Correct.
also do jujitsu maybe once a month or twice a month. I put gloves on the guys, MMA gloves, and I make them grapple with MMA gloves so they can hit each other.
Very good.
It's a strike-based jujitsu system.
Nice.
And I have an entire system of ground and pound sequences that I teach. From the guard, I teach 9 different leg positions for where your legs should be for defense, how to get out, how to get up. The technical Gracie get up, that's an easy one. Or you kick them, you get up to your knees, and then you shoot a double from your knees. I train a lot of police and military, and they have gear on their hips, and they can't get up.
Correct.
So they kick you off them, boom, and the guy steps back, and they post only on their elbow, and they're able to get up to their knees, and they go, now what? And here comes the guy running back at you.
Yeah. Roll them over.
So we form the block, and then we go double leg and we spin them down.
Nice.
And the military and the police, everyone that I've trained, they use that. They love it, and they teach that at the FBI Academy. They teach it at FLETC. I trained a bunch of FLETC officers, a lot of federal law enforcement agents, CIA, DEA, FBI, DOJ, air marshals,
Wow.
SWAT, police.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did some stuff for the SEALs a while ago. One of my buddies, and Army Rangers. I like to work with the military and the police all the time because they're on the front lines and they're going to use it, and this
Yeah.
is going to save their lives. I mean, tell me that's not an accomplishment in itself to be able to train a guy that's going to teach other guys that are going to use it to save their life in a real situation.
100%.
And also, I like to train school teachers. I like to teach them how to wrestle,
Yeah.
how to get up, how to get out of stuff, get ups and get outs.
Do you do that in Canada? I bet
Uh,
not.
well, I mean, nobody really tells me they're school teachers, so but they
Yeah.
take my seminar and I teach all that. That's why our seminars are fun because we mix everything up. It's just fun. You're learning. It doesn't mean you're going to be an MMA fighter. It just means you're combining the arts.
Yeah.
Try to take the highest level of the drills that I believe that are very useful from boxing, from clinching, dirty boxing, and then the elbows and the headbutts and the knees mixed with the throws and the trips and the takedowns and the inside leg trips
Yeah.
and go into, maybe a double leg or a single leg or a sweep single or a high crotch single leg. And then we mix it all up. So it's all mixed. And then on the ground, you're hitting. We have
Yeah.
trapping. We also teach trapping on the ground too.
Nice.
Yeah, I have a bunch of trapping things that I do also.
I love trapping. I just since I started playing with the JKD guys here, I fell in love with Wing Chun and the way JKD guys express their Wing Chun. And I think you did a really cool video with Kevin Lee.
That one turned out really good because it actually
beautiful.
applied Wing Chun principles to grappling. And the two, they have common threads. Everything correlates together and comes together because of the center line theory
Yes.
and the sensitivity theory.
Yep.
And then I did a video with Jesse Enkamp.
Yes.
Karate
I saw
one.
that. Yeah.
He was asking me karate techniques, how similar they are to what we do. And it was good because I had a bunch of different mixed martial arts I could choose from: silat, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, sambo, catch wrestling. And then I did another catch wrestling one with another guy. I just did that one too. That one came out really good too because he goes, I want to learn catch wrestling. And I said, okay. And he goes, I have 30 minutes. And I go,
Wow.
you want me to teach it in 30 minutes? And he goes, what do you think? And I go, no problem. And he goes, really? And I go, yeah, just please listen.
Mm.
I go, if you start contradicting me or questioning a bunch of stuff, I go, then I'm not going to be able to show you what I need to. I said, I'll give you an overview of what catch wrestling is.
Yeah. See, to do that in 30 minutes, that's like I'm a school teacher, so I get the amount of experience that's involved in doing that in 30 minutes. That just clearly shows your volume of experience that you can condense it. You know what I mean? That's cool. Yeah.
That's weird. I meditate a lot, so I feel like I can tap into. I actually study, teach, and do ice baths with this meditation called the Merkaba meditation. Merkaba.
How do you spell that?
Merkaba. And what it does is it develops a spaceship around your body, so it allows you to travel. But you're not praying to deities. So I get some people that are religious and they go, oh, I don't want to do it. It's pagan. And I go, it's not pagan. It's so funny because some people that are so religious, they don't want to do it because they're afraid of it.
Yeah.
But what they don't realize is that it immediately puts you in touch with God. Immediately. It puts you in divine alignment immediately, in touch with Source Creator, and it opens your heart. And you're not calling in deities, you're just breathing.
Right.
It's energy work. So here's another thing.
I wanted to ask you about that actually, but
It's called the Merkaba meditation, and it's 17 breaths. And look up Merkaba CGI.
Okay.
Merkaba CGI on YouTube, and it actually gives a full-blown demonstration on how you do it.
I'd love to know that.
Yeah, there's Brian Scott, but the guy that created his name is Drunvalo Melchizedek, Drunvalo Melchizedek, Melchizedek.
You talk about in your previous podcast about negative energy from people, having it stick to you sometimes after training with them. And how do you shake that off? Because like I get negative energy from work all the time, and from the people like I just find there's this people are carrying around, especially I don't know if it's necessarily related to COVID, but I find since that epidemic, people are very high strung these days. And so you mentioned it sticking to you and how you get rid of it. I'd love if we can talk a little bit about that.
Number one, ground yourself. Put your feet in the grass. When I travel and I'm jet lagged, I go outside. I put my feet in the grass for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Morning, I get a cup of coffee. You need to ground yourself. I do an ice bath every day.
Oh, wow.
So I'll tell you, I belong to a group, and in this group, there was one girl that came in. She was the only girl that never had attachments on her. Everyone that came in had attachments.
What do you mean, attachments?
Attachments it could be energy or spirits or thought patterns or things like that. Negative thought patterns, different entities. You could have different things that attach. You could have daggers in your back from people talking about you, or
yeah.
Those are considered attachments.
I see.
Some days you don't feel right. You feel funky or off. Maybe your third eye's blocked. That's your purpose. You find that most drug addicts in the street, that all their pineal gland or their third eye is shut off.
Interesting.
So they lose their purpose on earth. They don't know why they're here. They don't know what their divine purpose is. Their divine purpose, in order for you to find that, you take chlorella, sun chlorella, or take chlorella and spirulina.
Chlorella, that's the green vegetable, right? Yeah.
Superfood.
Yes.
You have chlorella and you have spirulina, and I take them together. And then there's another thing that has chlorella and oxygen. It's called chloroxy. And I buy that at the health food stores. Woo! And it's mint flavor, and you put it on the back of your tongue. Woo!
It's like an oil?
No, it's a tincture.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, so I take that in the morning, and then I take something called Oramus. Look up Oramus. Okay. And that puts you in your light body. And it helps you connect, helps you to connect to your higher self.
Wow.
Now, your higher self is a self between you and God. So you have a spiritual self that has no ego. We are an avatar. We have an ego. So it's the higher you between you and God that's the higher self, the spiritual side of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And when you meditate, you always try to connect with your higher self. So pure truth. There's no ego involved. There's nothing that would stop you from getting the truth. So that's your higher self.
Now, how do you spiritualities? I wanted to talk to you about this spirituality and the fighter's mindset with respect to being a better human being. Like, how do you put all that together?
Yeah, here's number one. Watch your words. Watch what when you're dropping F-bombs left and right, that degrades you.
Yeah.
Your vocabulary bankrupt.
Yeah.
If you gotta swear all the time, why are you swearing? What's the purpose?
Yeah. Because swearing to me, like swearing brings negative energy.
And it's disrespectful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you don't need to talk like that. The more educated you are, the less you're going to swear, I think.
Yeah.
I think the more thuggish you try to be, you want to act like you're tough, you're dropping F-bombs left and right. And guess what? Nobody ever holds anybody accountable. So I always say, watch your mouth. And they go, what? I go, watch your mouth. Don't swear. Let's talk in a normal conversation without using profanity.
Yeah.
That's number one.
Yeah.
So it's not what goes in your body, it's what comes out of your body is what defiles you.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's your actions, that's what defiles you. It's your mouth,
Yeah.
words. Your words defile you.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
why same mouth that you have, you could praise and build somebody up and raise them up, or you could tear them down and kill them. It's the same mouth.
I'm getting goosebumps. I'll tell you why. My a couple of principals ago, this lady I was working with, Katerina Barish, her and I connected really well during that year, and she gave me a poster. I have it in every classroom that I go to now. I have it, and it's a poster of an upper body and your arms, and it basically says, imagine life like with everything you said that came out of your mouth was written so everybody else could see it. Can you imagine that? Right? I think that speaks to what you're saying, right? Like keep it positive, you know?
Well, praise boost more, boast less.
Yeah.
Boost more, boast less.
Yeah. I love that.
About yourself, don't be braggadocious. Praise other people. That raises you up to a higher level when you raise other people up.
I love that.
When I went in the movie industry, there was a famous martial artist. His name was Jim Liu. He's super famous, James Liu. He's in tons of
James Liu.
movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, my
I think
friend,
he was in Big Trouble in Little China, right?
yes, he was. I worked
Yeah.
American Ninja 5 and a
Yeah.
bunch of
Yeah. Yeah.
I walked up to him and I go, hey, because I wanted to get like a truthful answer. I go, what do you think of this martial art and this martial art and this martial art? He goes, oh, that's good. It's got a lot of positive qualities to it. I go, what about this? He goes, yeah, that's got a lot of positive qualities too. That's good. And then I said, well, what do you think about this actor? They're martial arts. And he goes, oh, he's pretty good. And I go, what about this guy? He goes, oh, yeah, that guy's really talented. And I noticed he didn't have one bad thing to say about anybody or anything. And I said, you're very politically correct, and you must work all the time. He goes, well, I want to work as much as possible. He goes, so I have nothing bad to say about anybody. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be just like you.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a word of gossip to say, nothing bad. He was praising every single person.
Emotional intelligence.
I just, man, just so positive. And I'm like, man, what that you're an icon. For you to tell me that,
James
you know,
Liu.
yeah.
Yeah.
I worked with
Is
Tanaka,
he still alive?
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, James Liu, forget where him and his wife moved I forget where they moved to.
I
I
remember him
just
from Black Belt magazine and Inside
you're
Kung
right.
Fu magazine
I
and
just
things like that.
saw him. He had long hair.
Yes.
But now he's got a shaved head,
Okay.
bald.
Yeah.
So I was in New York doing a seminar and he walks in, he's at my hotel. He stayed in my hotel. I go, Jim Liu. And he goes, holy crap, Erik Paulson, what are you doing here? And I go, what are you doing? He was doing a movie with a superhero. It was a black guy that was the superhero. It wasn't too long ago. It was one of his last movies I know that he did. And he said, I want to do a stunt course here. Do you know any schools? And I go, yeah, you should go to the school that I am doing a seminar at. They would probably love to have a stunt course there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So he taught his course on how to take headshots, how to take a punch,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
how to take a back fist, a side kick, leg kick, how to sell shots.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, how to fall.
Yeah.
How to do a full twisting barrel roll in the air.
That's hard.
Yeah. If you get hit across, boom, how to snap your head. How to
Yeah. Exactly.
How to fold around a punch. And then he talked about driving, learn how to drive. Then he talked about learning how to do other things like rock climb, ride horses, drive cars, get burnt, fall from high falls. That's all part of the stunt industry.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Oh,
cool. I have a lifestyle question for you. How do you stay sharp as a coach of your caliber, the whole work-life balance thing? And like, as I know, like from conversations with Tanya through text, as we were setting up this interview, like you guys are super busy, with family, with camps, with class, traveling. How do you do that, man?
I research and write. That's it. And I
That's it.
train.
Yeah.
I teach Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I have Thursday off. I travel Friday, and then I do seminars on the weekends.
Yeah.
And then I train fighters. I went back. I started training fighters again twice a week. I didn't want to go full time back into training pros. It's too consuming. I knew that I have so much insight for MMA
Right.
at a high level. I actually have an MMA system that is perfect for fight, and I can teach a beginner how to become a fighter right away. And I said, you know what? Fighting is empowering, and so is competing. So if any of you want to compete or you want to fight, I would help you guys train. I'm not saying I can corner you.
Yeah.
Because that takes time.
Yeah, of course.
You guys can all have your buddies corner you, but I'll train you. I'll get you good, and then you guys will help you get fights.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't want to manage you, but I'll help you get fights. I get calls all the time. And then I gave my fight team away. I just got sick and tired, and I said, I'm done. I don't want to train fighters anymore. And then I said, it's too much. It just pulls. It really pulls from your soul.
Was it because of like what was the main reason for that?
When you're training guys 5 days a week,
Yeah, it's just tiring.
yeah, you get more respect from night people that pay you for lessons, and they come in and you're training them and teaching them curriculum, and you watch them get better. And they're just normal people, and they never aspire to fight. So most fighters don't have a job or don't have money, because they're trying to live that dream.
Mhm.
And I said, the first thing you guys need to do is get back to society. So go get yourself a job. How are you going to pay for gas? How are you going to pay for food? If you guys aren't paying rent, live at home with your parents as long as you can. But contribute. You got to contribute back somehow.
Yeah.
You got to have
Yeah.
some sort of job unless you have wealthy parents.
Yeah.
But you don't want to train a rich, spoiled kid.
Right.
Could
Yeah.
for free.
Yeah. Yeah.
Job because it teaches you values, and it teaches you how to work, and it teaches you the understanding of the monetary system.
Yep. Yep.
Give and
Money
take.
management. Yep.
So that's a big factor. And then at the lower levels, guys respect you, and they want to learn, and they listen to you, and they're not braggadocious, and they don't want to show you, hey, this is what I think I should do. This is my style, and this is how I'm going to fight this guy. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, then why am I here?
Yeah.
What am I doing here? And then if I'm training a guy and he fights and he doesn't listen to me, I go, why am I in your corner? If you didn't
Exactly.
listen to one thing I said to you, could you hear me? He goes, I heard everything. I go, oh, well, why didn't you do what I said? And he goes, well, I disagreed with you. And I go, oh, that's great. Corner yourself from now on.
Yeah.
He's like, what? It's not
Yeah.
like that. Oh, well, you just said it was like that. You said you could hear me, but you disagreed with what I said.
Yeah.
So why am I in your corner? If you don't trust me enough to listen to what I'm saying, I have different eyes than you do because you're in there and I'm seeing from the sidelines. So it's just that braggadociousness that I'm like, you know what? I don't need to be around this. These guys,
All right. Yeah.
and some people are they don't know it, but they're disrespectful.
Yeah. I identify with this because I have a good friend of mine. He's got a side gig now in the boxing commission here in Toronto, and he sees a lot of fights and coordinates a lot of these things, and he just sees all this ego and
Disrespect.
disrespect and machismo, and it's
How about disrespectful fighters?
So I have a question from Steve Bukowski from Greenpoint Shotokan Karate in Brooklyn, New York. He's a good friend of mine, known him for years. So you were around people who knew Bruce Lee, like Danny Inosantos, for example. And from your experience, was Bruce Lee truly a fighter?
Yes.
How
He
do you think he'd do it, say it, in modern MMA now?
He would have probably been doing MMA. He already was doing MMA.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the originator of MMA. He was already combining arts,
Yeah.
mixed martial arts. So it just perpetuated and continued from there. I mean, oh yeah, he was a fighter, and he had a bad temper.
Yeah.
You don't touch a young Chinese boy on the head. That was kind of a forbidden thing, and apparently somebody put their hand on Brandon's head and he almost beat the guy's head off. He was so mad because you don't do that. Jeet Kune Do was based and created for not for sport fighting, but for street fighting.
Yeah.
That's why Paul Vunak took this whole street fighting thing, and that's what he iterated his whole system based on. Street fighting.
The rat system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, I was like, I've been doing martial arts so long. What's the highest level of fighting? And they go, sport fighting. You get in a bar fight, it's like you're fighting a guy that probably doesn't know anything. And he's a little drunk and he's got a big mouth. And I'm a trained martial artist. That doesn't really make sense.
Mm-hmm.
What if I train really hard and fight another athlete that's very well gifted at all the other arts also, and see if I can beat him? That's the highest level for me.
Right.
And how do you get ready for a street fight? I train MMA. MMA is probably the best form of martial arts you can learn for a street fight. I mean, it really is, because you have all bases covered. I can kickbox, I can clinch, I can shoot in, I can take you down, I can counter your shot. You want to throw a haymaker, I know how to cover and bear hug and take down. And then I'm good at ground and pound, positioning from jiu-jitsu. I'm really good at positioning, or if I get in a bad spot, you took me down, I can reverse you with a sweep. And then I'm really good at submission. So I'm either going to submit you. The best, most humane way to end a street fight is with a choke. That way you don't have to hurt somebody. You just put them to sleep.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Put them to sleep.
Yeah. No, for sure. I was just thinking, a lot of the guys on my team, they cross train in different things. Some of the combat sambo guys, for example, they seem to have a lot of confidence in shutting an MMA guy down. So my question is, like, what's your take on, say, some of these tactical combative guys versus, a person that's well trained in MMA?
Well, I think MMA is probably one of the best. Like, if you're a high level MMA, that's a pretty good form of self-defense.
Yeah.
Including the weapons. Because a lot of MMA guys have never learned weapons. So they don't know how to defend against a knife. Although they're a good athlete and they might be able to stay long and eye jab or kick your legs or whatever. Or you're going to end up taking the knife, boom, let them stick it in and then disarm them, leave it in, and then beat them up, with the knife in you.
Yeah.
The odds of getting stabbed with a knife are really high when there's a knife involved.
Yeah.
I mean, look at statistics. It's really high. If a knife comes out, especially if you don't see it, boom, you get stuck. So what are you going to do? Best thing to do against a knife is run.
Yeah.
Probably not against a gun because they'll just shoot you in the back. But with a knife, if you got a chance to run and escape, that's the best way to get out. And then also create an obstruction, like a chair, or a car, your buddy. No, I'm kidding.
Nice friend.
Yeah, as long as you can outrun your friend, you're fine.
Yep.
Hey,
that's funny.
You were attacked by a bear. What's the most valuable, important thing you would do? And I go, well, I would learn how to run fast. And they go, oh, really? Why is that? And they go, bears are fast. I go, yeah, but you don't need to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun your buddy. Right?
Hashtag truth.
And then the other thing is, like, what would you do against a shark attack? And I go, do you have a good knife? And they go, yeah. And I go, you nick your buddy.
Yeah.
Kidding.
A quick question on competition. The importance of competition in martial arts training. Do you think it has a time and place for it? Is it necessary?
It's not necessary, but it does make you a much higher level person, because guess what competition does? Competition is experience. It's pressure test. It's applying your martial art at a high level against someone that doesn't know or care how good you are, what your rank is.
Yeah.
They just beat you.
Yeah.
So it's the closest thing to a real fight, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get a fight with somebody, they don't like the way you look. They don't care what belt you have or what you know. That doesn't matter to them. Yeah. It's different in a martial arts situation because they look at your rank on your belt. That's one thing that's good about MMA is that you don't have a belt or a rank. You just walk in, you got shorts on, they're like, it doesn't matter what belt you are, because when you start punching and kicking people in the head and the face and hitting them on the ground, your belts start disintegrating and dissolving. So you get a black belt, you start punching him, and he starts forgetting his grappling game, and he goes into a place called Oh Shit Land. Oh Shit. Where you're like, oh shit, you're like, oh, instead of thinking, I said, so as a test, I said, here's what I want you to do.
Yeah.
Tell me 5 things you're going to do to me while I'm in your guard from the bottom. Ready? What's 5 things you could do to me?
From the ground?
The guard, yeah. So
From the guard.
I'm gonna arm bar.
Yep.
Or shoulder lock. I'm gonna choke you, front guillotine or triangle choke. What else? I'm going to leg lock you if you stand up. I'm going to sweep you and go on top, or I'm going to take your back if you cross center line. Those are 5 things.
Yeah.
Arm bar, choke, leg lock, take your back, take your back, or sweep you.
Yeah.
Say it again. Say those 5 again. Say those 5 again. Say those 5 again. Okay,
yeah.
Ready? Don't move. Defend yourself. Keep your hands up. All right, ready? Say those 5 things. And I want you to do them as I'm hitting you. Ready? Go. And I start punching them. Like really hitting them.
Yeah.
The body hitting the face, and they go into oh shit land and they forget everything.
Yeah.
Punching solves your memory.
Yeah.
That's called pressure test.
Yeah.
So competition is a pressure test, and that's considered experience. And guess what? You can never take away from somebody.
Experience.
Yeah. Those that are in the military that have gone to war, that's called experience. What are they? They're a war vet, right?
Yep.
You can't take that away from them ever. That's experience. It's the same thing in martial arts. I call them, they're war vets, right? They've gone to war, especially for MMA, especially for kickboxing, boxing, the pugilistic arts.
Judo. Yeah.
Yeah. Judo and then jiu-jitsu tournaments. But the funny thing, jiu-jitsu tournaments, everyone goes, yeah, I got a fight next week. And I go, oh, really? You getting punched in the face? They go, no, it's jiu-jitsu. And I go, oh, you mean you got a grappling match?
Yeah.
But they call them fights because for them, that's a fight.
Right.
But until you fight, and then when you fight for real, you go, oh, those are matches. I've got a real fight this weekend.
Right.
So I'm training Kade Ruotolo. He's fighting in one fighting championship, his second match.
Yes, I saw. I found out about that. Yes.
November 9th, we're going back. He's fighting a Pakistani guy who trains with Khabib. So he's a Kazakhstani style wrestler, heavy hands,
aggressive,
shoots. So Kade just came off winning the CJI. He won the $1 million prize. He beat 4 guys in a row. You
coached him on that one.
Yeah, I coached him.
Yeah.
But I also coached him for his first MMA fight. I brought him to Thailand, and he won his first MMA fight. So now this is his second MMA fight after he won CJI.
Wow.
Pretty amazing.
That's phenomenal.
I want to say something about that. So I was in my ice bath. I got out. I put my hands in the air, and I asked God, I said, what's next? What do you have next for me? What's next for me? What's next? I just said, what's next? And then I said to myself, the only way I would come out of retirement to train somebody to fight, they would, number 1, have to be super talented. Number 2, they would have to be respectful, very respectful.
Yeah.
Number 3, they'd have to seek me out. If they sought me out, if they were respectful and they listened and they were talented, I would take them under. And then Pat Tenori said, I've got 2 kids I want you to start training. He goes, they're going to do MMA. I go, have they ever done the MMA? He goes, no. And I go, when is their fight? He goes, 1 month. And I go, I got a month?
That's short.
And he said, hold on, these aren't normal kids. And I already knew him because I already met him at Ruka originally. And Pat was a creator of Ruka. And now he's got a clothing line called Tenori.
Yeah.
He sold Ruka and he's no longer involved with them. So he's under, now it's called Tenori. It's a high-end fight wear. It's a high-end clothing line, lifestyle clothing line. And it's real high-end. It's really nice stuff. Anyways, he's sponsoring the boys. And he asked me, he said, would you like to be involved? So the next morning I get a phone call and they said, hey, would you like to have a meeting with us? And I go, sure. Who's it for? And they go, Well, it's Sean and Kade Ruotolo and then Nathan Corbett and the Thai Muay Thai champion, 11-time world Muay Thai champion. We're going to go to lunch.
Yeah.
So I was like, sure, I don't know what this is about, but sure, I'd be interested. So I went there, and then Sean goes, Erik, if you're interested, we want to ask if you'd be interested to be the head coach for Kade Ruotolo for his MMA debut. And I was like,
Wow.
God just answered that call. Seriously, the next morning,
Yeah.
out of nowhere, I get a phone call, and I just did that. I did that the night before. I just put my hand at it was in the 5 p.m. I got out of the ice bath and I just looked up and I said, "What's next?" And then I was thinking to myself, it probably wasn't even my words, but it was like, and then I was thinking, I go, the only way I come out of retirement, and it's funny because I didn't even consider coming out of retirement.
Yeah.
For that thought to enter my mind and for me to say, the only way I come out of retirement is if I had these 3 things. And all of a sudden, hey, we want you to be the head coach for Kade Ruotolo for his debut. And
That's phenomenal.
We want you to train him in catch wrestling for his upcoming elite submission wrestling tournaments.
Yeah.
There's a lot of catch wrestling that jiu-jitsu guys don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, there isn't. His jiu-jitsu is amazing, but there's a lot of little tricks and things that he can do, and submissions that a lot of these guys would never see coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And they're legal.
So, hey, you just leveled up.
And that was it. So
Yeah.
God sent me the Ruotolos through Pat Tenori, and then classic fight team Tyler Wombles he's helping me do all the padding. He pads them regularly.
Yeah.
I put him through pressure tests and scenarios, so it worked out really good.
That's amazing.
So, November 9th, back in Thailand.